Hello, my name is Mark Salyers, and I am an anxiety expert. I am a mental health therapist, and I am also certified in hypnosis. I have worked with and dealt with anxiety-related issues for the past 16 years. I have had my own journey working through my own issues with anxiety and panic. I know what it feels like. I have had the panic attacks hit me when I walk in Walmart. I have had the panic attacks at the idea of trying to get on an airplane to go on vacation. I know what it's like to have all of those experiences go through. And that is why I would like to come to you today and share with you perhaps some of the reasons why people are not getting the maximum benefit that they could from mental health therapy. I have used therapy on different occasions within my life, especially early on when I was experiencing some of the worst panic attacks and the worst anxiety issues. Things that kept me out of being able to keep a job, things that were hurting my relationships, things that were preventing me from socializing and being involved in things in my church and being involved in things within the community. Even going to the movies was a very difficult thing for me. So during those times that I was struggling the most, I did. I went and sought counseling myself, and I did find some benefit to it. But there were a few drawbacks that I had that I did not get the maximum benefit that I was hoping for. And hopefully some of the tips that I'm going to be giving you today will help you in your journey as you work through your issues as well. The biggest thing is finding the right therapist. Now I'm going to tell you a story about what happened to me with my first time in therapy, with my first therapist, should I say. This was a wonderful, wonderful guy. He was really neat. He was a kind person. He was sympathetic to my situation. He was empathetic to what I was going through. And he even tried to include, different family members to try to make it easier for me and so forth. But I wasn't getting the benefit that I really wanted and wasn't making the progress that I had hoped for. And also, being a bit obsessive compulsive like I am, I decided that I was going to start doing my own reading as well. And so I've got an entire library of books right now that I have read that relate to the anxieties that I had faced and some of the depression that accompanied it and all the limitations that go along with the body symptoms. And I read everything I could get my hands on. And I mean, this went on for months that I was reading and reading and reading. And finally, after about 6 months with this therapist, he looked at me and told me the most frightening thing I had ever heard in my life. And it absolutely, literally caused me to have a panic attack right there in his office. He looked at me in the nicest way he knew how and said, "Mark, you know more about anxiety than I do." Oh. Needless to say, I was ready to melt. I thought I was going to pass out. I started breathing heavy. I thought I was going into the floor. Sweat started pouring off my forehead because I thought, oh my gosh, I'm sitting here with a mental health professional and I know more about it than he does. I must really be messed up in the head. There's some real problems in here. They're not going to be able to be fixed. Goodness, what am I going to do now? But he was being honest with me. But you know what? I have found that over the years that I have talked with people that is not an uncommon thing that has happened. That is not an uncommon thing. I have worked with people from all walks of life at all different ages within the last 10 years especially that have struggled with different anxiety and depression disorders. And that is one thing that they've always asked me up front is, I've been to therapy before and it really didn't do a whole lot for me. Why is this going to be any different? And that's when I share with them just what I'm sharing with you right now. Why? Because I am an anxiety expert. Now, I have actually spent the last 2 years working within an elementary school. As you can probably imagine, the number one thing that the kids that I dealt with had to do with one thing, one diagnosis. The one that every child that gets sent to the principal's office gets labeled with is ADHD. And I had found that probably about 80% of the children that I worked with had a classification or had a diagnosis of ADHD. The problem with it was I'm not very good at working with ADHD. Now, I was a good person for them to vent to. If they got in trouble with the teacher, they would call me, they'd come down, and I could talk them down a little bit. I would have them calm down where they could get back to school. Or get back in the classroom. They felt comfortable talking to me. They felt it was okay to vent some of their frustrations with me. But as far as being a good ADHD therapist, I wasn't very good at it. Why not? Why wasn't I? Because my true heart and my true passion lied in helping people with anxiety and depression. Then after that point, I actually left that job. Why? Because I wanted to focus in on what I was really, really good at. The problem with a lot of therapists, and please know that I am not putting therapists down. I am not putting anyone down that is in the mental health field, psychologists or counseling social workers or anything like that. I'm not trying to put them down at all. What I'm trying to help you realize is the fact that nobody is good at everything. Nobody is an expert on everything. There is a diagnosis manual called the DSM-4. The DSM-4 is what every single person that goes to the doctor for any kind of mental health issue or goes to a therapist with any kind of mental health issue will receive will receive a diagnosis based on this manual. This manual is about that thick, because it ranges from everything from psychotic disorders to eating disorders to sexual disorders to all the different range of anxiety disorders, the 25 different classifications of bipolar, personality disorders, and so forth and so on. So you can imagine, with all of that information and all of the different kinds of disorders, there's no possible way that any one person could be good at all of it. When I drive down through my town, I see the different signs a therapists have up in their front office, or the sign next to the street, or if you look in your local phone book, the Yellow Pages, or if you look online, you will find therapists, and they will have listed underneath their name all the things that they treat. They will treat anxiety, depression, bipolar, ADHD, addictions, marriage and family, eating disorders. You get what I'm saying. The problem is, what I want to know is, what are they an expert in? There's no possible way they could be an expert in all of those things. My suggestion to you, if you're looking for a good mental health therapist and you're dealing with anxiety, or you're dealing with depression, or you're dealing with, a little bit of both, or you have a little bit of a combination there, my suggestion to you is, when you call a therapist to set up an appointment, before you ever make the appointment, ask them what they specialize in. What is their passion? Find out what it is they're very good at.